In this video, I want to test your ability to recognize patterns. You will see a puzzle that is often used in intelligence tests. Take a moment to look at the grid carefully. Try to find the missing piece. If you want, pause the video and see if you can solve it yourself. At the end of this video, I will explain the correct answer. At first glance, this puzzle looks completely random. A few vertical lines, some dots, and a few small squares. But puzzles like this are not testing knowledge. They are testing something much deeper: your ability to recognize patterns. Many people approach puzzles like this by trying to guess quickly. But the real solution appears when you slow down and start observing structure. Instead of looking at the shapes individually, you begin looking at how they move. Every square in this puzzle contains the same basic elements: a vertical line, dots, and small squares. At first, these symbols appear randomly placed, but when you examine the grid more carefully, a pattern begins to appear. The key insight is that every row follows the same rule. The third image in each row is created from the first two, but not by copying them directly. Instead, the elements shift positions along the vertical line. Look at the first row. The first square contains two dots. The second square introduces a small square near the bottom. In the third square, the symbols move along the line and form a new arrangement. The puzzle is showing us the transformation rule. Now look at the second row. Again, the first two images contain dots and squares in different positions. The third image combines these elements and balances them around the center of the vertical line. The structure becomes more symmetrical. Once you understand this rule, the final row becomes easier to analyze. The first square in the third row contains a dot near the top and a square near the bottom. The second square adds another dot and another square. Now the movement pattern becomes visible. Dots tend to move downward along the vertical line. Squares tend to move upward. When these movements meet near the center, the symbols create a balanced structure. This means the missing square must follow the same rule: dots continuing downward, squares continuing upward, until the structure becomes balanced. And that is the solution to the puzzle. The final square is simply the next logical step in the pattern. Puzzles like this reveal something interesting about human thinking. People who solve them quickly are not necessarily calculating faster. They are observing patterns more carefully. They stop focusing on individual symbols, and instead, they focus on relationships. Pattern recognition is one of the most powerful abilities of the human mind. It allows us to recognize faces instantly, understand language, detect hidden structure in complex systems, and even predict behavior. That is why puzzles like this are often used in intelligence tests. They do not measure memorized knowledge. They measure how the mind organizes information. And once you begin training your brain to see patterns instead of isolated details, puzzles like this become much easier. Because the answer was never hidden. The pattern was simply waiting to be noticed.